one man me fear, the Messiah. Me a boy believe in a prayer. Me step on the battlefield without no shield. All when shot a fire. All when me no food, no water. Jah love me never yet shatter. Me a talk this for real. The pain me a feel them a kill with sons and daughters. Tell dirty mind, bad mind fi fence we. Them coulda never live fi bench we. Cause to Jah give the praise fi essence a day so. We basket no empty. Enough time them try fi tempt me. Must it true me a lead by far and them sick. Them team up and I try stop me time from me make me empty. But I one man me fear of the Father.
I'm so honored to be here to talk at this forum, Agile in Africa program. Actually, looking at me, I'm in uniform. Therefore, I'm not an evangelist of the Agile. I'm very grateful for the organizers for inviting me here. I recognize Nana for hosting us all here. The Ghana Police Service, as you may know, has dated in the 17th centuries, and it has gone through several transformations. This is exactly what we are going to see here. I have been in the Soviet Union for 6 years, since 1979, learning chemistry. And then on my return to Ghana, I joined the Ghana Police Service as a forensic analyst. I was doing ballistics and drug analysis at the forensic laboratory. Over time, I was moved from the forensic lab after about 11 years. It was a very sad day. And I will tell you why I was taken away in the course of the transformation, because I also formed part of the transformation. The forensic lab to the mainstream policing, that is the Criminal Investigations Department. And whilst I was there, I rose up to the rank of the head of the Criminal Investigations Department. It means that my career is deeply rooted in the Ghana Police Service. Several investigations, some of them took me to Spain, the USA, Senegal, Gambia, and then also I became the director for specialized crime and analysis in Lyon. That is Interpol. And not until I went to Interpol did I appreciate that those successes like arresting a serious criminal in Ghana and sending him outside, those mechanisms that were needed in that international level to make these successes were a norm and not an exception. My focus was Ghana and not beyond. I later got to know that the mechanism should be very, very common to all. So, when I was with Interpol, I learned a lot of things. I went there as the first African to head that directorate called the Specialized Crime and Analysis. And it was a terrain that I have never been before. And, working with officers from all over the world. In fact, it's supposed to be the core of Interpol because we have only police officers who were working there. So that experience was very, very beneficial to our kingdom. Now, going to our main topic today, that is organization transformation of the Ghana Police Service. The police service started in the year about 1891. And before then, the powers of maintaining law and order was vested in the traditional rulers. And even when the colonial masters arrived in this country, they continued and gave them the means by which they are able to exercise their responsibility in maintaining law and order in the country. So, but in the year 1921, they realized that the standards of and the role of the police during the Gold Coast era was to uphold the rule of law and also to protect the colonial interests. In fact, the first police officers who formed the Ghana Police Service were actually not Ghanaians, but they came from Nigeria, the northern Nigeria, and they were about 400 Hausa men. These are people who did not even understand the local language. So when they are asked to do something, they obey the instructions, sometimes beyond even the letter. Officers, this was how they were dressed. In 1875, 1895, 1915, 1935. This has changed slightly because we were still using this cross belt we used to call Sam Brown. And then we threw away the baggy trouser. And then these were the other ranks. In fact, this gentleman here, you find him wearing the boots because he's called the General Police Officer. This is an escort police officer. This gentleman here is an escort. He doesn't understand anything, apart from maybe his native language. The Marine police officer also barefooted, like the escort. For him, I think maybe it will facilitate his swimming, so he could go this way. Then we had, an improvement in the Marine police. We actually had only 5 divisions in the whole Ghana police: the escort police, the general police, Marine police, the criminal investigations department. So the Marine police, which was formed in 1916, was disbanded in 1942 and was replaced by the Customs, Excise and Preventive Service. This transformation is without agile. And I'm sure at the end of it all, we'll be asking questions. How could it have been if we were applying something else? Then the Criminal Investigations Department, when it was established in 1922, we had the important feature of it was the fingerprints unit. And this was how criminal records were kept. And we have a room at the CID headquarters that you will go and find this same thing there. So this was how records were kept.
On the big file, you mean? Or?
Oh yeah, those were maybe kind of abandoned. And then we were using those in the pigeonholes. In 1948, we have the Police Reserves Unit, which was formed to combat righteous mobs, or in protection of the colonial masters. But there was a mosque before this. So these were the equipment that was, which were used during the 1950s. We have been transforming sometimes as a result of a disaster. Something seriously happened to this country, and then we begin to think and say that, well, let's move on and change something. In 1993, we witnessed the murder of women in this country. We had about 34 women who were murdered and blatantly displayed in the street corners and other places within the country. We have two big cities in Ghana. Kumasi is the second capital. Then Accra is the main capital. These murders started in Accra, in the southwestern part of Accra. And we did not know what was going on because it was the first time Ghana has experienced the serial murders of women. And normally investigators would bring exhibits for you to look at. But then you could see that there was, in the briefs, you are unable to connect the murders. And normally, if it happens somewhere in a station, close to a station, it is handed over to a detective. Actually, it was business as usual. So you quickly go for post-mortem, and then you hand over the body to relatives, and then they go to bury. So it continued. This was how the women were. Normally, after the murder, the murderer will open the legs showing the genitalia. In certain cases, we will see blood oozing out from the inner part. But he had a signature. He will always arrange the footwear neatly behind or beside the victim, like we are seeing here. It featured in majority of the crime sites. This is another one. This lady, actually, we realized was smeared with death. And it was an indication that there was a huge struggle with the perpetrator. So what happened? It was the first time that we applied the GIS, the ArcGIS software, which I know, it's an application that is able to do the crime mapping. We are able to do analysis from the data that it produces. So we use the ArcGIS. So now we are introducing IT in our criminal investigation. So this is how it came about. We're also having problems with doing analysis of, let's say, DNA analysis. And it also gave birth to the ultra-modern forensic laboratory in Ghana. Because first time the FBI, the director of FBI, Louis Free, visited Africa, he came to Ghana first because of these serial murders. And we had to go and then do a presentation. He was very happy with the kind of investigation we had done so far. So he promised that he was going to bring a team to come to Ghana to help us with this investigation. And then again, we realized that the population was increasing by year by year. And the most challenging thing for the police was, if you have a suspect before you, how are you able to identify who that person was? If you look at our criminal records, looking for information about the person sitting before you. So we decided to have a 5-year strategic plan. On the screen, we have the president of this country, At that time, he was the vice president of the country. And he was the chairman of the police council. So we launched this 5-year strategic plan. And in fact, IT modernization became the key document that was supporting this strategic plan. And we had in it our vision, that the vision is to be a world-class police organization capable of delivering a planned, democratic, protective, and peaceful service up to the standards of international best practices. So it was an epoch in this country, especially in the Ghana Police Service. What were the major transformations that came? The number of regions shot up from 7 to 11. We also increased the schedules of the police headquarters from 5 to 12. And that is how came about the IT directorate, so that we will have a commissioner in charge. Not only the medical units and other schedules. We were always, yes, please.
Short question, what do you mean with increase in number of schedules? 5?
Okay. The schedules, well, we will say that increase in the number of directorates. Yes, no, not in the region, at the headquarters. The IT directorate is one, which I am the head of.
Yeah.
Then we'll have somebody for administrations, operations,
Yeah.
technical services. Right. We began to also increase our strength because we know of the UN prescription, which is 1 police officer to 500. But we will challenge this maybe in the course of the presentation. It was our main goal. Even now, we still insist that we should have 1 police officer to about 500 of the citizens. So if you look at the table here, since 1941, at that time, with a population of about 3 million, or almost 4,922. Presently, 2015, look at the ratio. We are not doing badly at all. I'm sure United Nations will applaud. So this is the graph, the police strength against the population.